You ever think about quitting?
It's the combat of life hammering the snot out of you.
Well, stand by, dig in deep, and get ready to get fired up with us.
Welcome to the Team Never Quit podcast, the #1 podcast that inspires you to fight on. I'm your host, David Rutherford, here with Mr. Never Quit himself, Marcus Luttrell.
Our mission is to help you embrace the suck of life, to teach you the values of working your ass off, and to interview the most hard-charging people on planet Earth.
We know life is hard. It's time for you to suck it up, Buttercup, and let us teach you to persevere in every environment imaginable by sharing real-world lessons learned by those who never quit. That's right. It's time, Marcus, for us to help them defeat the negative insurgency in their lives.
You fire me up. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's roll.
Let's roll. Marcus! Marcus! Yes, who's cometh?
The Iceman cometh.
When I bring that to you, what does that make you? Who does that make you think about?
The Iceman cometh.
Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, but that was just a character. There's a real Iceman.
There's a real Iceman, and he's cometh.
The Iceman cometh.
Every time I try to say something, throw that damn thing up.
Oh!
What's
The
that?
Iceman cometh.
Yeah. The Mob Hitman, Iceman.
Oh my God. Dude, have we got a cat for our listeners today, man? This guy makes me look like I'm going at 2 miles an hour. I'm telling you what. And now I'm not sure. Now, this could connect some theories out there, right? That the cold water can actually ignite a little bit of craziness in people. Now, I remember it,
Well, how about this one? What if he got a hold of us in buds? Actually, you wouldn't want to do it to us in buds because then the cold water wouldn't have the effect.
Yeah, you need
right?
the mental demolishment that the cold does to us. That's part of the game.
Yeah, but if we had this capability when you went in, every time you got in the water, if you looked at it like you was cleansing yourself.
What do you think the little whippersnappers are doing now? They're sitting on the beach. They're saying, all right, you guys, guess what? Stand by.
The
Everybody,
Iceman cometh.
everybody who's going out, lock arms, prepare. Dudes are like this.
Yeah. And damn it, no Wim Hof.
No Wim Hof breathing techniques at all, you little shitbags.
No Wim Hofing allowed.
There's no Wim. Like you'll go and see the phase officer if you get caught Wim Hofing.
Right? I got dropped from buds. What? Hey, there's a
Go
good
Wim
excuse
Hof
for
yourself.
when you drop out. I got caught Wim Hofing. They got rid of me. Which means buds didn't affect me like it was supposed to. And I was too tough to go through buds. So they got rid of me.
Like performance-enhancing drugs.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Oh my God.
You get rolled on the juice or you get rolled on the Wim Hof.
Oh,
You're done.
Oh, can you imagine standing in front of the man? Do you think, because you know who the man is right now. It's the dude we all know. Well, you don't know him. He is the CEO now.
Yeah.
And there are stories that are legendary. But if I bet with him as the CEO, if you stood in front of him and you pitched, what were you doing out there, son? And why were you able? What kind of performance-enhancing drugs were you on, son? And he'd be like, well, sir, I used the Wim Hof method. He would crack up. He would dilate. He'd excuse himself. You'd hear him outside going, he'd come back in and be like, all right,
The Iceman cometh.
He would let that kid back in training, dude.
One of the classes had a guy who could power walk.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And he would do the runs power walking.
Oh, I know. I would run and he would out.
Well, that's
He could
not
outpower-
saying much,
That's not
bro.
really saying much. That's a bad analogy. But he'd pass those runs power walking. He would pass guys doing that.
Oh, yeah. Dude, but here, think about it. Right? Think about it, right? And that's what, I mean, I know you've mentored tons of young dudes to get over there. There are a bunch of guys out. Our buddy Taco has put 27 guys in the program that have tridents. I know there are a bunch of other dudes out there doing it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And when you talk to them and what you teach them, I don't spend time teaching them when I work with these kids how to do underwater knot tying. I don't spend time with them teaching them how to do whatever. Right? I teach them how to create that intestinal fortitude, how to work on their mind.
Oh.
That's exactly what Wim Hof is teaching. Now, he's fixated on, and Wizard, you're going to give us a little background right now. Yeah, I mean,
whole exploration of depth.
Well, transcendental enlightenment through this process, for sure. That's what he's going for.
Mind and body.
Right? And imagine, and just imagine, if all of a sudden, I know some guys out in special operations are utilizing his method. They've explored it. They're looking at it. Imagine if every day our listeners, the people that are coming right now, and by the way, thank you for coming to our show. If you're first time listening right now, stand by, because this
Iceman cometh.
because this one is gonna rock. This one is gonna chill you to the bone. This one is gonna make you.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna be hyperventilating mentally on this because the info is so radically easy, but yet it makes so much sense and it's doable that it's gonna blow you away. If you're a repeat offender and you're back for more, God bless you. We love you, man. Thank you so much, because we're over 4 million downloads now because of you. 4 million, Marcus. We're podcasters, bud.
Okay.
Hey, I say our next tattoo is a big old, like, old English podcaster across our chest.
Well, I got a belly. Now I'm gonna do mine across my gut.
Yeah, right here over the top, like this podcaster, dude. That's awesome. That's what we're getting.
Podcaster for life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Thug Life.
And then on the back it says,
The Iceman cometh.
Oh, man. You know what's funny is way back in the day, man, on Discovery Channel, they used to have Navy SEALs on, and it was Stu Smith who did the ice dip challenge, and he crushed that. He was in there an hour plus, something like that, at a big freezing tank. Yeah.
I remember that.
Stu's a badass, man. I like Stu, dude. He's hard as nails. He's got all that stuff.
His training program was the one that I went through that twice on my own before.
And it worked,
the Navy.
didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. Stu, way to go, bud.
Thanks for that, buddy.
Yeah, way to go.
It's
All
cool,
right.
those guys that get out, the warriors that get out and create the luduses for the younger generation.
What?
The what?
Ludus training, gladiator training from Rome.
Damn, brother. The Ludus. I
I
dig
was watching
that.
Spartacus last night. So there you go. Anyways,
You were watching
I came in the
Spartacus
room-
to prepare
I came in
you
the room last night.
because
The
Melly,
Iceman cometh.
yeah,
Oh,
Melly had it on the TV when I walked in, so I was like, "All right, it's Spartacus night."
oh, man.
Kids are away.
If you're back for more, thank you so much. We love being podcasters, but more importantly, we love bringing you positive content that's going to help you in the combat of life, that's going to help you kick the snot out of the negative insurgency, for you to find happiness, for you to find perseverance, grit, determination, all the other things that our guests bring on this show to deliver to you, to serve to you. Thank you so much. If you want to know more about us, go check us out at TNQpodcast.com. You can follow us all on Instagram and social media, and we dig it, man. We love bringing you this show. Wizard, tell us about the... Man, you're never on point.
Can't ask for it.
I can't ask for it, can I?
Gotta call me on that.
Oh, man. All right, tell us about...
game it.
Tell us about
game
Mr.
it.
Wim Hof, would you please?
You want it to sound game.
Contrived, yeah.
Contrived.
Yeah.
Nice word.
Thanks, buddy. I had to get up with Ludus.
So, as we know, Wim Hof is the
Ludus for the-
Iceman.
The Iceman cometh. I can do it too.
Just not as well.
The Iceman cometh.
Thank you, Ari.
Schwarzenegger just throws them out and immediately.
It's set and
they just
it's
cut 'em out. I wonder if
iconic.
they start cutting them out of the movie ahead of time just to see which ones are gonna
Oh yeah,
stick. Right?
I'll be back.
Oh man.
All right, so known as the Iceman, he's from the Netherlands, And I guess from a young age, he developed an interest in
Searching.
martial arts, yoga,
himself.
a lot of
Himself,
yeah,
yeah.
about a lot of searching, metaphysical ideas, things like that. Eventually, he brings this into a system that eventually is what is known now as the Wim Hof method. Basically, it's comprised of three primary components. We have cold therapy, breathing, and commitment, according to how they put this. Cold therapy is basically a tool for getting yourself into situations that cause stress on the body and forces it to react to that. It also has physiological benefits like reduction of inflammation, helping balance hormone levels. But really the easiest and first avenue to get into this is the breathing level of this. The oxygenation of the blood, the purging of CO2, it's a development of energy management and control over an increase in mitochondrial activity in cells, which has a whole host of benefits associated with it, according to Wim. Increased energy, reduced stress levels, augmented immune system response, and then commitment. Mindset or focus, it says it here, mindset or focus, the foundation of the other two. Both cold exposure, conscious breathing require patience and dedication in order to be fully mastered. Armed with focus and determination, you are ready to explore and eventually master your own body and mind. Now, what really sets him apart? I've been aware of Wim. I've been aware of Wim for about two years now.
The Vice documentary that blew up.
I have tried his breathing methods. I've myself done the cold therapy. I do the cold showers in the morning, all this, and I've noticed.
Are you the one who broke the pipes here at the ranch the other day?
that was God, because he decided to send freezing weather to Texas. God.
The Iceman cometh.
I can personally attest to these having actual legitimate benefits. Now, what really sets him apart is the fact that he has subjected this method to multiple bona fide scientific studies, and these are published. I mean, he's been in things published in Biology Magazine, the National Academy of Sciences.
What I love too is the man is walking the walk too. That's the stuff that fires me up.
Which has really gained attention to him. He holds 26 world records. 2007, he climbed Mount Everest up to 22,000 feet. Beyond that, he had a foot injury that was reoccurring. It prevented him from going further, but he was wearing shorts and shoes. That's it.
It's pretty cold Everest up there, huh?
22,000 feet. 2008, he sets world record for ice bath immersion at 1 hour and 13 minutes. He goes back and then beats his old record again in 2011 with 1 hour and 52 minutes. He stays immersed in an ice bath. He, in 2009, climbed the top of Mount Kilimanjaro in nothing but shorts again. He has set world record Saharan Marathon.
No water?
He ran it with no water. He holds a distance record swimming under ice.
Under ice.
Single breath hold. He holds records for that in the distance. He's completed a marathon in nothing but, again, shorts above the Arctic Circle in Finland in -4 degree Fahrenheit temperatures.
I love this guy.
And then, like I said, he backs so much of this has been actually scientifically tested and bona fide, which I think really kind of sets him apart from other people who've developed techniques and practices and purport to have all these benefits. I think it adds a level of
validation,
legitimacy, and validation to it that they don't have. He's written 3 books: Becoming the Iceman, Way of the Iceman, and What Doesn't Kill Us: How Freezing Water, Extreme Altitude, and Environmental Conditioning will Renew Our Lost Evolutionary Strength. He's been on God knows how many different outlets as far as television, podcasts, radio.
Tony Robbins has brought him on. He's been on with Joe Rogan. I mean, he's been everywhere.
He has been all over. The guy is super impressive. He has 6 children at this point.
He's awesome.
The whole concept is he's tapped into something that we thought was untappable, right? He tapped into the mitochondrial portion of our DNA cycle.
Yeah.
Energy, right?
As it relates to our cognitive thinking, too.
Through breath. Through
and cold.
Function of life.
Those two. He combines those two.
Correct.
Yeah. I dig it. And it's funny, man. We had to go into the SEAL teams to figure out that stuff. He's doing it for fun every day, day in and day out, and teaching thousands and if not tens of millions with all his videos on the air. Brothers.
Oh, he
You
has
know, if
developed
we
it.
knew it had a
That's
name
all.
and it was called something, it was a training thing, maybe it sure would have made life a lot easier, right?
Oh, if it wasn't just a beating we were supposed to take, I'm just
Yeah,
supposed to be
dude.
hard. There's,
the
there's
dive
positivity
the
to
dive's
this.
a dive, right? But when it's like that cold, like, damn it. What if
Right.
I was just going to be Wim Hofing for 10 hours? I might have been in a better mood when I came out.
That's what it is over at STVs. It's Wim Hofen.
Yeah,
Are you
Wim
guys
Hof.
going on a dive? No, we're going Wim Hofen.
Yeah. Wim Hof trained for 5 years.
Wizard, let's get this man on the show, brother. Let's have it.
The Iceman, the Iceman, the Iceman cometh.
Marcus, I'll tell you what, as all the times that we spent in the freezing cold water in the SEAL teams, man, up in Kodiak, in the Pacific getting surf tortured, going through all that misery, all that pain, little did I know at all until I found this man online, until I found this guy who's got this thing going down pat in a science that's changing life. Little did I know all that torture was good for me, brother.
That's exactly what I was thinking about. I was like, this guy does this for fun.
Right? Imagine if we or if you at SDV
Well,
spending...
if I'd have thought about it as if it was actually, I was learning something and it was helping me, because when we're going through it, this is the torture. This is why they do that.
Right.
We're doing this to get you out of here. But if I had it in my head like, well, I'm actually learning something about myself. I'm quite enjoying this. Lately, so I wish I'd have come across him before.
I know. Where were you, Mr. Hawk,
Like in
10,
the
20 years ago?
Late 90s.
Well, listen, I don't want to belay anymore because this man, he's going to be amazing. He is going to make a huge impact on you listening right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the show, the Iceman, Mr. Wim Hof. Sir, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, great. Thank you for having me.
It's such a...
Absolutely. And I like the story. You know, I like the story about the SEALs. Because I know they never quit. They learn to never quit. But then when you get back in society, it's all different, you know?
Totally.
And I've seen a lot of that stuff. So I've been a lot in nature. I've been doing all kinds of crazy stuff, like climbing Mount Everest in shorts, or go underneath ice and swim big distances horizontally, breath hold, under the ice, or running marathons in the desert, both in the desert
With no water.
in the cold, just in shorts, you know, and a lot of more of that stuff. That means my body is so capable of doing so lot, and then I get back in society and I see just a whole lot of crap, a whole lot of shit. And why should I control myself? I cannot control myself in that society because I love nature. I like to challenge my body, my mind, and my spirit. So I began to look at, hey, but what is the problem here? I see so much depression. I see so much disease. I gotta find answers for this. For that, I went into nature. Then I came back into laboratory settings with all the scientists, and I've proven to battle the world's biggest terrorists, the one that kills most of casualties, causes most of casualties in our society, and that is depression and disease.
Amen.
And I'm into tackling that one. So I went through the scientific studies and showed how we can battle depression and how we can battle disease. And that's it, man.
I love that so much about you, sir, and we're gonna get into that here in 2 seconds. But before we do it, we gotta do our bit of our warm up, right? You have your breathing technique that gets you prepared for that cold immersion, prepared for those you have your warm-ups. Our warm-ups consist of a little prefrontal cortex warm-up, right? And we're going to get it going. We're going to get it going with some fun questions because we want our listeners to know a little bit more about you in a fun light. So we're going to shoot some random questions. First thing that pops into your head, just fire it out at us. Are you ready, sir?
Cool.
All right, Marcus, go.
All right, what was your first car?
My first car, without a driver license, I took a Mini Cooper in the mountains, and I remember in the curves I was driving on 2 wheels because I was, not such a good driver, but I had a lot of fun.
All right, Wizard, fire away.
All right, what is your power animal?
My power animal right now is sitting below at my feet. It's my dog. I call it my brown shadow. If I walk a mountain in shorts and all that, she does it 3 times. She's my teacher. She's my guru. She's my boss. That's my power animal.
I love that. Just as you were saying that, Wim, Marcus's dog Rigby came in and sat down right at his feet just as you were telling that story. That's Mr. Rigby. All right. Here you go. If you could increase the size and function of any organ in your body, which one would it be and why?
It's not my dick anymore, man. It's too big.
That's all I could have thought about when I say a question.
So I got to cool down there. That's why I always go into the ice to make it shrink, man. Okay. Easy does it. The real thing is the heart. The heart. That's it.
That's cool. All right, Marcus, fire away.
All right, coldest water you've been in, and where was it at?
Coldest water is was in Finland up there. A lot of salt water, and water just goes below 0 and still liquid
Right,
because it's salty.
because of the ice.
So-
Too much salt in it.
And
Awesome.
a lot of swimming over there. I felt great doing it, but that was about the coldest. And another thing, if you go in big cascades on glaciers, the water is running, and when you are not able to have a little layer around yourself when you're still in the water, you're like quiet, then it runs off, and it takes a lot of heat out of your body. So glacier water also does the trick of getting you really cold.
I ran into some of that on the South Island in New Zealand. I was hunting down there, tar and chamois, and the glacier, it was completely, we came over in the helicopter, it was completely frozen up, but right in the middle of it, it was thawing a bit, and there were a pool had formed, and a waterfall had come over the top of it, man.
Beautiful. That's what
It was painful.
Painful.
It was painful.
Painfully beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah,
You're just sitting in it.
I had to go out, get in it.
Yeah. All right, Wizard, fire away.
All right, give us one person from history you'd like to go back in time and spend a week with.
Whoa. Whoa. Yeah, who? Yeah, all the women I had, man. I mean, I got 6 children. And
Holy
nice
cow.
work.
Nice work.
fertility is one of the benefits you get in going into water. And the thing is that probably my first wife.
Roger.
And she accidented in 95. I had 4 children with her, and those 4 children now work with me, and we got a great family. But yeah, I would like to be with her and talk to her.
Oh, that's beautiful. Great,
Yeah, it is.
great sentiment, sir. All right. If you could do any other profession besides changing people's lives the way you're doing right now in your life, and this has been life's work on your part, if you could pick any other profession in the world, what would it be and why?
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe engineering of big, innovative, self-supportive buildings in
Oh, that's
nature.
cool. Very cool.
That's it.
Very cool. That's very
Yes.
cool. Marcus, last question.
All right, what's your favorite place to relax?
Good question.
Oh, That's a little animal of my woman. No, easy does it. Easy does
There's a
it.
theme developing here.
No, we make a lot of fun, but right now I got a little baby of 2 months, and it relaxes me every time I look at it. And I can look for hours at this mystical little being, pure energy. That's where I relax. Another thing is, I relax in the space in my mind, making sure that we will show the world to become happy, strong, and healthy. It's really on all the time. And when I get progression over there, I really feel like bliss. Like, wow, yeah, this is it. That makes my juices run.
That's
so
beautiful.
I've been on Mount Everest. I've been 26 world records and all that. You know that shit of being a SEAL, yeah, doing special things, being on the mission with your body and with your mind. And I've overcome that all. Right now, I'm in the mainframe. And I feel we can make the change in this world. And not only feel, I'm showing it through the science. But sometimes the science is as fast as a slow turtle. So we have to exercise patience. But when it comes, boom, boom, boom. I like that. I love that. And besides of that, yeah, my baby and the other baby.
That awesome. That is the perfect shift for our interview with us, because Mr. Hof, when people come to our show, and we've been so blessed with millions of people so far in just over a year and a half, and because I think we're trying to do something similar in a different fashion as you, is bring people a pathway to happiness, a pathway to a greater sense of purpose, a pathway to combat the negative insurgency. Yeah, we truly believe in the same things. We're simpatico in that. That's why people are coming here, and that's what people want to understand. So if you could, sir, can you please share with our listeners your greatest never quit story or stories?
Yes. Yeah. Never quit, man. I just want to get the evil out of our hats, the real terrorists. And it all began like 45 years ago. I felt there is more between heaven and earth, but I couldn't put my finger on it. It was just my instincts, my intuition. And that made me go into all kinds of challenges. And it brought about many world records and crazy stunts. And then I came in contact with the science, and then show that we are much more capable than was thought of possible. And I'm changing the books. And right now, the never quit beginning in this is, I'm still in the same. There is more between heaven and earth. And that is us. We are built to be happy, strong, and healthy. And until it's not done, I will keep on. I don't care to die. I'm just care to live. And I want to live to the fullest and make it possible through non-speculative science for everybody, effective and accessible. That's my never quit story. And in between, I got all these challenges. And with this mindset, I'm able to get rid of any of the obstacles appearing in those challenges. I overcome about anything because I do not know fear. I know my goals, and it's my birthright to fulfill my goals. That's it.
I love that. I mean, that's a powerful description. I mean, to say that your never quit process is to fulfill, to bring truth to our connection, right? Our relevance to, one, the infinite of God's presence in our lives,
Yes.
as well as how closely we are connected to God's great gifts to us, to cold weather, to cold water, to the basic function of our breathing. What are
The elements of nature.
The elements of nature. What triggered this pathway for you? At what point were you 15 years old, 17, 18, when you're like, God, there's something more out there? And what was that trigger for you to begin this journey, this search to where you are now?
You know, already from very early age, Sean, I was thinking, but people think disease, and both mentally and physical, and poverty and all those things, they think this is normal. This is the way life is. I think it is sick. I'm never going to quit with that answer. I'm going to do something about it. How? I don't know. But I got this feeling. And this feeling began when I was 12 years old.
Wow.
When I began to think about these things. I began to question myself. And when I did a lot of disciplines there, like karate and kung fu and yoga and Buddhism and all kinds of traditions, philosophies and cultures and languages, I began to soul search.
Yeah.
Because you got this feeling, this drive. And when I was 17, I first came in contact with ice water. And when I went into the ice water, ice water is like merciless but righteous. It brings you in contact with sense, deep into your physiology. It connects the brain with the body. And I didn't know what it was, but I felt great. And from there, I began to go into regular practice. I began to change my breathing patterns, became conscious of a better connection with my body. I was able to overcome. I could sit a whole night outside in shorts in freezing temperatures. That brings a different perception, awareness. So I began to do a lot more of those challenges and more. Like, hey man, they never told me this, but we are able to do a whole lot more than they thought of possible, than has been written in science. So all those diseases, all those mental disorders, and all that, hey man, it does not need to be, because we just lost our connection. So I began to develop a different understanding. And that different understanding, everybody was thinking I was a fool, I was crazy. Who goes into the freezing cold? Who is meditating outside in freezing temperatures? Who is challenging his body so much? He's crazy. 35 years later, I get into scientific laboratory settings, and I show where nobody is able to control or suppress the reaction of bacteria injected. I was the first one to show I can suppress the inflammation caused by a bacteria injected. And then they said, but you are the Iceman. This normal people cannot do that. That's in the books like this. And then I said, no, I know what I can do. I learned it from nature. I'm just natural. And I know that I can bring this to people in a very short period of time. And then finally they said, okay, let's do this. Comparative study. And we did it. And then within 4 days, they were able to suppress the inflammation caused by bacteria. 100% score, all the group. And all the controls who were not trained, they were all sick. And this is a very controlled study, and it shows inflammation to be suppressed, yes or no, with 16,000 people. And they all were not able to suppress the inflammation, which is the cause of any disease, inflammation. Right. And we were the first group, 100% score, to suppress it, the inflammation, within a quarter of an hour, all of us. And I tell you, the inflammation is the cause of disease. The inflammation is the cause in the head, in the brain, for depression. So we can battle all this. This is my message to the world. It's a natural method. Now, what comes? If we look at society, Who thought, oh, disease is normal, depression is normal? Yes, for that we have hospitals, pills, whole industries, etc. I still think it is a sick system.
Absolutely.
And I say we just have to reconnect with our inner nature and the innate capacity to battle inflammation the way nature equipped us to be able to. Now it has scientific proof. We are battling now the way people think about themselves. They lost the belief that they are able to change their chemistry to feel right, strong, and healthy. We have the innate capacity to control all those, all these lips within ourselves. We got it. And now I'm proving it through the science. You know what we are battling? We are battling industries who make money over our disease, both mentally and both physically. And I'm not fighting that industry. I just want to make people happy, strong, and healthy. And so that's where it began, and that's where we are now. And you guys, you are successful because you create a great window for those who are in need. They lost the belief, they lost the connection. They have been brainwashed. Their connection is gone. They don't know, but they feel like me 40 years ago. There is more between heaven and the earth. That's why they look at you guys. Because you are digging. You are digging for answers. For your question, you get answers. And I tell you, this natural method really works. And it will bring peace and prosperity, health, happiness, and strength, the core values of life, back where it belongs, in each and every one of us, because it's natural. There's no money involved, just your belief, your being in connection, little bit breathing, little bit cold, and belief. Boom, there it is.
I love how you say that these are natural things that we're supposed to have as a part of our existence. And I just imagine you back when you're 17, you hit that water for the first time, you take the deep breath, and all of a sudden your mind is just opened up to this process of breathing as a result of your connectivity to nature, what God wants to fulfill through us. Can you explain in greater detail how that trigger point has developed into your breathing technique, and share with our listeners a little bit about the breathing technique itself?
Yes. You know, now, say in a laboratory setting, and there is a doctor and he's got an injection, a needle, and there is bacteria inside, then you know you got to battle that. That's the mindset.
Yep.
You know that. You know, and then you do the breathing. You do this breathing, I do, and we do it for freely on our website. You can take part, no cost. You just do it, and you get the same results as we set out for and showed within the study, which changed the books in the university, by the way. Yep. Full chapter. So that those two together. You know there's a bacteria coming in. Okay, I got to deal with that bacteria. That's the mindset. Okay. You don't deal with your mortgage or with your woman or with your neighbor. No, you deal with the bacteria. That's the mindset. As simple as it is. And then you do the breathing. And that breathing is originated from being in cold water. What do you do when you go in cold water?
Yeah.
Now you do it controlled. The cold is a stressor.
Right.
Big one. That's why you need more oxygen. That's why you do. That's the way the lungs react on the impact of the stress. So you do that for a prolonged time, like 30, 40 of those breaths. Then your body oxygenates and becomes alkaline in the lymphatic system. That's the deepest of our systems.
Yep.
We are normally, because of our clothes, all day long, and air conditioning, and warming places, and the heater and everything, we are profane in our breathing. So the chemistry is not changed, not oxygenized in the depth. Thus, we are not able to deal with real stresses. And we learn to, to be afraid of nature, to be afraid of stress, to be afraid of our challenges.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yes.
But right now, what they're finding is that heightened level of stress for extended periods of time, which ultimately can lead to depression, all these producing massive amounts of cortisol. Are you afraid of any of that type of thing
Absolutely not. I tell you, with these breathing exercises learned in a very stressful environment like freezing cold, it shows you got to adequately adopt the right way of influencing consciously your chemistry. And cortisol actually is to bring down the stress.
Right.
But adrenaline goes up, cortisol brings it down. But now we never learned how to deal with the adrenaline. What that means, it's always activating the sympathetic nervous system. Action, 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 action. There's never peace in the body. And on cellular level, you need peace to rehabilitate. Adrenaline is for action, to get out of a dangerous situation. That's logical. But when the adrenaline and the cortisol, the stress hormones, keep on running in the system, little, there, then the body is not able to rehabilitate on cellular level.
It inhibits the glucose production.
Yes, then there is no new energy, there's no restoration, it is only exhaustion of adrenaline and still activating the sympathetic nervous system through the existent cortisol. Now, these breathing exercises and the method I teach learns a person very fast to control not only the immune system, but the adrenal axis.
Right.
That means the cortisol, adrenaline, epinephrine. And with that, you become in charge of your own peace and your own action. That's the way nature meant it to be for us. Like, you need action and restoration. Action, peace. And then you can go in action again because you restorated, you got new energy, and you can go again. That's natural. Now, in our society, we are activated all the time. So the cortisol never goes down. And there is no control because we are profane in our breathing. We have no connection in the chemistry. We cannot deal with the chemistry in the depth. And that's where the action and the peace of the nervous system exists in conjunction, in connection with the brain. But we lost it. So I found a way to tap into that, into the deepest of the brain, and they saw it. Right now I'm doing the studies in Michigan, Detroit, Wayne State University Neuroscience Department.
My dad's alma mater, by the way. God bless you for being there and doing that.
Right up. We will show that we are able to control the deepest of the brain with this method. Because I've been showing this now, and in February, March, we are going to do a big study with bipolar people, and they thought of, you cannot heal these people. We can do that in 4 days.
4 days.
So what is it? What is what we have lost? That's bad. That was my beginning question 40 years ago. And right now I'm proving this through the science. Not just blah, 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 in talking in university books, looking in the books. No, I went, like you guys, in nature. Challenge the body, challenge the mind. But then deliberately bringing it into scientific environment to be non-speculative, to do it and to show it in brain scans, in the blood, with millions of data. And that's what I'm doing. And that's what you guys bring now to the people. We have to bring back the belief and the connection that we are able to battle anxiety, depression, physical disease.
Well,
and that's it.
The third part of the Wim Hof method is this concept of commitment. Now, I know commitment on your level is a word that is much lower. You're talking about commitment on a deeper, more intimate, more personal level in your connections. But you're also talking a lot about depression. And in a lot of your interviews, you talk about, you know, your wife who committed suicide, had depression, that kind of, you know, refocused you, saying that this method can help with depression. How do you believe that those connections get you through those tough times where it's hard, where, you know, the burden of whatever you're consuming in the external world can be lifted and lightened? You can find that peace and happiness that you speak of with that commitment level. How does that happen?
Yes, commitment and depression, especially when you are depressed. It's very difficult to commit yourself because you are sort of deranged within yourself because of the depression. It's oppression, it's pressure, it's out of control. The hormonal balance is gone. Serotonin, dopamine, it's gone. It's neurological. Then how to commit? You don't feel to do anything. Yeah, that's logic, because you are bereft of your energy levels. You're bereft of your the way the physiology works within yourself. It's not at your disposal like you thought normal. Now it's not there. How to commit that? And I tell you, I always kept on going into cold water every day. And that's where the mind stops. You cannot think about mortgages or your wife or depression whatsoever. You go in the water and the water straightens you out.
Absolutely.
It just does what you, with your mind, is not capable of. And that is the beauty of this noble force, the cold. And you got to use it therapeutically, like in the neurology of the brain. You can straighten it out with oxygenizing, making yourself alcoholic. And sometimes you just need to clean it because of being out of balance into depression, which was caused in my case of the suicide of my wife. I was there alone with 4 kids. Had no money, had no nothing.
Jeez.
There I was. The only thing I had was this natural being, which I learned in the cold, which I learned just to do without money, just to do with myself. Within 4 minutes, I can reset my body. You do 30, 40 of those breaths, like we showed. What do you do when you go into the cold? That.
Yep.
Controlled for 40 times. Then you take one last one. Stop breathing after exhalation. Go! It's like a machine. You vacuum yourself. All the liquids, everything changes. The oxygen is being like, and then the body resets. Boom! It's nice. And you know, anybody can do it.
I love the fact that the way he's describing it. I mean, Marcus used to spend, 15 hours underwater in the cold?
I remember sitting on the edge of that bank before we're fixing to go in, and the more you do it, you can actually get to where you know the breathing pattern that's going to happen when your body jumps in there, so you get ahead of it.
Right.
And he's right, man. As soon as your toes kick in there, and we're 7 milled up and just sweating to no end, and then from the minute your toe gets in the water, what cold water does is it activates every receptor on the exterior, and then it slowly and surely funnels its way through the entire body. So your mind actually has to focus on every single fiber in your body as it gets cold, and you can feel it running up. And when you start that breathing cycle, what it does is that short breath, and then that long breath, and then that continual slow breathing. And when we do, man, we have not only the ability to feel the cold water, but to hear ourselves breathe. Because once you go underwater in your open circuit, you can hear that's it. That pattern, right? And what I've heard him say a few times, and I studied the same kind of, had the same upbringing. And what it does is the body has a center line, all right? And it gets off when you're above water and when you're moving around, and all the existentials affect your center line. And when you get into the cold water, the body has nowhere else to go, all right? And you literally are firing all of your receptors at one time and then realigning them with your breathing pattern. And it realigns the center line. And they talk about it in the old Japanese traditions of chi, of breathing. And then, modern day, they get these idiots in martial arts who think they can throw their chi. Well, that's just impossible. Your chi is the energy on the inside.
Right.
And they say chi is the old ways it was breathing, controlling air. And that's our gift, is our ability to control air. And any situation you get into, and if you have the ability to control the path of air in and out in that situation, is your homeostasis, right? It's a perfect, your chi and your ki. Your ki is your fighting spirit, or your spirit that comes out with your harnessing ability of your chi, right? Your air. And man, when we would go underwater and the cold would set in, we had the mission parameters in front of us, which means I could only focus on that. And I was so focused on that because I didn't want to think about what was going on because of how cold it was. But what it does is it allows your body to attack the areas that have been hurt. I mean, you can literally feel underwater, like if you have an injury going in, everyone's setting an ice bath or you ice something, that's constant. And you can feel the swelling and just the tension going down, and to a point to where all you can do is hear yourself breathe. And that's the most enlightening thing you can have. And once that flow capacity, because oxygen is the carrier, right? Once you hit that and it centers back up, then everything else can center back up in your body as well and attack what it's basically, as many times as I've been in there, and every single time the breathing's always like,
and then you get it back.
And then it goes to a constant, like, all right, now I'm flowing. And
I love that. Mr. Hoff, one of the things.
That was a great story.
I don't know if it made any sense or not.
Oh, man, you made sense. I love that thing about the key, the Pokemon shit and all that. They make us believe,
Right?
One of the things that you talk about extensively as the totality of your purpose is to the achievement of health and happiness. Can you define what you consider happiness to be for our listeners? Because many times, people out there that are in a struggle, they can't even construct what happiness is, right? They've been so pushed away.
I got you. What happiness is something unique for everybody,
Amen.
Some guys here are happy with their toy. The others, they need a Rolls Royce. Doesn't matter the shape. Happiness is happiness, and it's subjective to the person. Okay, but now you got these areas in our brain which are activated through the autonomic nervous system. Those are autonomous processes in the brain causing the happiness. Now they thought in their neuroscience, they thought we cannot access at will into those areas. And now I have shown to get into those areas under severe stress. So normally under severe stress, like depression is, PTSD, or you feel really bad, that's all stress. It's because the body on cellular level is in stress. And we at will are not able to create, say, cannabinoids, opioids, or euphoria, or kill the pain. We cannot do it. And now I showed how to go into the brain, into that area where the cannabinoids and the opioids exist. That is the brainstem, and that the funny name, periaqueductal gray hemisphere.
Okay.
And I showed it in brain scans how to do that. While ice water was exposed on my body, and normally the skin temperature goes down when exposed to cold water. in my case, because I used my will to battle the stress. It showed that the skin temperature after exposure of cold water was not going down anymore. That means I was activating the hormones in the body to thermoregulate, to create, activate opioids and cannabinoids, to kill the pain, feel great, and even feel euphoria.
Wow.
Then they looked inside of the brain, and I was connecting inside the brain, whereof they thought it's not possible to do that as a human. Then we showed as the first ones in medical history that the autonomic nervous system and the innate immune system both deeply can be influenced. We were the first group, 100% score. And now they have been looking inside my brain, and the joke is, incredible finding, they found brain activity.
Right.
That was good news, wasn't it?
What do you know?
That'd be great news.
Keep on laughing, man. Hey, you gotta laugh sometimes.
Oh, it's awesome.
The non-joke is, now we can battle. Now we can battle within a competitive study wherein they will do mindfulness, but they never saw mindfulness because it's very studied. It's well researched. They never saw these areas of the brain activated, which I activated. And they now say this is a transformational technique that will change mental health care. Now, we talk about happiness, we talk about well-being and feeling and great, and this, I tell you, the next episode in the new upcoming studies will open up the knowledge to people. Hey, I can make this neurochanneling into my brain and be the master over my mood anytime.
Wow.
So that is happiness to me. That's my goal. And I will not quit until it's done. Boom.
Now that's an amazing never quit purpose right there. That a goal in front. But is your goal just to prove it yourself? Or is your goal to, next thing you know, every school in the public school systems around the world has the Wim Hof breathing technique to start their day? Is every organization, or at least that they're doing some facet of? How's that going to happen?
I can have a big diamond in my hands. Look at me. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. The real thing now for me is to bring it to people. Today, for example, I got a message of somebody who is doing a workshop, who's an instructor, one of the hundreds of instructors. And she said, yesterday I had somebody who was, she resorted only to this workshop as a last way to get rid of this everlasting pain. She already decided to quit with her life.
Oh, wow.
You know, euthanasia. To euthanize herself because she couldn't handle the pain. After the workshop, so accessible and so effective, now she's able to handle her pain. It was crying, crying, crying. You know what that is? It comes to me, this is much more than money or control. This is food for the soul. It does my soul so good. And until it is all over the world, being there like a non-dogmatic choice to be happy, strong, and healthy, because we have shown to get in all those systems inside the brain and the body, into the DNA itself. I'm doing the studies right now. San Francisco. So until it's not completely implemented in all the schooling system into the consciousness, and there is no, I'm not into convincing people. I'm just telling it's there. It's yours. We are innate capacitated to become happy, strong, and healthy, or to have all the control within our mind, brain, and body to utilize to become the master over our hormonal system and the immune system at will. Boom, there it is. And we will go on with that. So a part of that is my gratitude to you guys, because you guys have a great window. And the purpose of this window is to bring all this knowledge to the people.
Amen.
It is almost unbelievable how simple it is and how effective and how proven it is. There is no speculation about this. It's like, there is fire! Get the fuck out! You like to say, oh, yeah. Fire, it is nice, no, get out! It's there. And we are just handing it over. That is the love, and that is the soul. And there I am. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Wim, I'd like to go a little bit further into, you were telling a story, and where this was, you didn't ever finish it. I'm very curious what happened. And it's also a little bit deeper into what we're talking about, and that's the topic of death. And you had a near-death experience in a rehearsal for setting a world record distance in Finland. Can you tell us that story and what, the epiphany that you gained from that? You had quite a lesson learned there.
Of course. Good question. Like just the day before I had to do a world record, we did a rehearsal. You know what happens with the rehearsals? They let the control go.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah. It's just a rehearsal. No, I still got to do it. 50, 60 yards, I got to go under the ice as the first man ever doing it. And there I am. There's no cameras, only above the ice, but I'm doing it. So I sat up, did my breathing, go into the water, get my breath hold, go under the ice, and begin to horizontally swim to the other hole. Now at 35 meters, like 40 yards, I lost sight. I had no goggles on. So it was just a blur. And I missed the hole on the 60 yards.
This
on the right side.
This is because your corneas began to freeze. What? Is that correct? Your corneas began to freeze?
Yes. Whatever you look through to, it froze. It froze, and it was a blurred vision. I could see shadow and light, something like that, but nothing clear. So I missed the hole while I was swimming. And what happened at the 40 yards was, you don't think, you just react instinctively at that moment. You are into surviving. So I lost consciousness there. It was a different consciousness. So, but I learned to count. In the training before, in the swimming pool, I was counting how much strokes do I need to get to the 50-meter hole. That was 42 strokes, each 1 meter 20, like something more than a yard. And I had it really calculated. But at that moment, at the 40 yards, I lost it. But I kept subconsciously on counting. And when I reached the 48, 6 strokes too much, I came to my consciousness again. Oh, 48, need to go back.
Too far. Uh-oh.
Just see one number, 6. 6 strokes back. Feel it. Nothing. 6 strokes there. 6 strokes there. 6 strokes there. 6 strokes there. I did in total 130 meters. It's like 130 yards.
Wow.
Guys, is when I lost it. When my visual perception became big like this. Literally. Physical. That's physical.
It tunneled in on you.
And then after that, some strokes more, I went in, and then I began to sleep. You know what happened there? The big lesson for me was there was no agony. There was no drowning. I felt almost like in a rush. I lost the fear of dying right over there.
Awesome.
You know what we miss in society? we miss good breathing when we are going to die. Really, because when you die, the body, the soul actually, and the body wants to shut down, and is shutting down is like a building full of electricity. If it is not shut down, you cannot leave the building. So when the body is oxygenized, then the nervous system is well on, and then it is able to shut down. But when the chemistry in the depth is not right on, not right alkalic, then it stays on. And when you leave the body, it's like this, all that shit. So I found out under the water, in the ice, no agony, no drowning. Actually, I felt good.
Nice.
And when I came back to the top of the ice, the other day, I had to do only 50 meters. That was the world record. That was a piece of cake, of course. But the thing is, I lost the fear of death right over there. And that is consoling. We have learned to condition ourselves to profane breathing. And this will create fear in the end, because we lose control over the chemistry. Logic. It's all logic. Right now, I'm into dealing into the healthcare for older people in elder houses actively, and we got it accredited that this method is going to enter with hundreds and thousands of nurses into elder homes, but now the whole system, and bring people to their senses, to the ability to change their chemistry the way nature meant it to be. And then fear will subside, because you, in danger, in extremes, in stress, will be able to control the chemistry for the right. That's the way we were built. But we lost that connection, and now I tell you, it's back. And soon or later, it will be fully implemented into healthcare, into the schools, into the books, because of the endorsement through science, no speculation. I'm just awakening the light and the ability of ours, of the innate capacity to deal with life and death, and challenges, and extremes. We are built to do so. And that's the beauty of it. And the rest is, you got to make jokes sometimes.
That's all very, very interesting.
Well, one of the things, before we wrap it up here, we always ask our guests, because there's people out here right now that are listening to you, they're listening, you go through it, they hear you're invigorating, you're inspiring, man. I fucking love you, dude. You got that fire in you.
We love love.
Right?
And this is mutually. That's why you guys sit over there. Because you know that the logic of life is strong. And that is ours. And we share that knowledge, that confidence. And we bring it. And now, through the science, we will bring it to everybody's doubting mind. Out of there, it's like going into the cold water. You don't mind anymore. You do it. You become happy, strong, healthy. It's there. It's science, neuroscience. Boom. Now get your attention to do that.
I love it. What can the person that's sitting on their butts right now, the person that is listening to you on our show, that just downloaded, they're super fired up, they're ready to get going. What's the first step for them, Wim, to get this going, to ignite this fire within, and to start this pursuit towards happiness and this greater connection to heaven in themselves?
Just on my site, the Wim Hof method, that's my name, plus method.com. There is all the free instructions to get into the techniques that enables you to get into the innate immune system, into your endocrine system, that's the hormonal system, and learn to control at will that what causes depression and or disease, physical disease, so both mental and physical, that you are able to tackle it, and that you are able to ignite and activate the plasticity of the body and heal. You know, I get so many people with so many diseases, and they heal, and they become happy. They got their beliefs back, that
Amen.
they are in control of the button of life itself, and with that, the death. So, as long as we are not dead, let's 100% live. Boom. And do it.
On that note, Mr.
There you
Hall,
go. I like that.
thank you so much for your time, sir. I certainly hope whenever you set the next world record or you crack the next, you cause some more disbelief in science and you start rewriting the books, or you're launching a huge international program. We would love to have you back on to continue this Never Quit story.
Anytime.
Because you're a wonderful man. God bless you and your efforts.
Like yourself.
Thank you so much, sir.
Like yourselves. Like yourselves.
God bless
Big
you.
love. Big
Been
hug.
an honor.
Big
Thank
love
you.
to you, brother. Big
Very
love to you.
powerful.
Take care.
Amen.
Yes.
Bye-bye. Marcus, when you listen to that cat and you hear him and he gets all fired up and he puts his face up against that screen and you can tell, live and live. If you're not dead, live. And he does that,
As long as we're not dead, let's live.
as long as we're not dead,
100%.
let's live. When you hear that cat, what do you think, man?
He's fired up.
He is totally
He's
fired.
passionate about what he's got. He knows it works. He believes in it. That's somebody you could tell, someone like that means they believe in what they're doing.
Full faith.
Yep.
Not just a little
Yep.
bit.
Yep.
I mean, he's got full faith and is proving it. That's that's the kicker for me. There's a lot of cats out there.
Congratulations on your Nobel.
Yeah, if it happens, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's what he's working towards. Nice call on that, dude.
That's a good point. You know, he talked about those studies. I just want to maybe describe what those were a little more in detail so people
it.
can understand, because he referenced them a bunch of times, but only in little bits and pieces. So 2014, there was a study that was published in the proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. 24 people were injected with E. coli, an endotoxin, which induces inflammation in the body, but otherwise not necessarily.
E. coli can kill you. It's bad. It's nasty.
This form of it, I guess it's a type that they use
Test.
in tests. Correct. Anyways, what they did was half the people had previously been trained for 10 days in Wim Hof's method, but only for 10 days, and that's the only exposure they had to it. And then 10 people who were the control group were not. What they found out was that the ones trained in his method, once they were injected with the toxin, they showed a much more effective immune response. They had fewer of the flu-like symptoms, a much higher level of the plasma epinephrine levels, which is a stress hormone that's induced, which increases the activity in your sympathetic nervous system. And they concluded, the researchers, quote, through practicing techniques learned in a short-term training program, the sympathetic nervous system and immune system can indeed be voluntarily influenced, which previously was considered to be an impossibility.
Well, that begs the question then, all right, what are the limitations of this? Now, he talked about he's going up to Wayne State and they're going to work on a research project dealing with bipolarism, right? Now, bipolarism, I mean, that's where, you got two segments of the brain functioning independently and all those types of personality places. And he's saying that he's going to stop that neuroplasticity, which is a genetic thing, right? They say bipolarism is genetic, right?
Okay.
That his breathing technique is going to stop that, fix how people are producing dopamine, serotonin, melatonin, all those things in their brain through his breathing technique. Now, it's one thing to fight small infection through breathing, right?
True.
Right, and we've seen that done with chambers. And like, with you got embolized, you told that story in the beginning there of and then we've talked about other aspects of what you can do, burn victims with chambers. Hell, there's a buddy of mine, Ray Crowley down in Delray that's treating traumatic brain injury with chamber presses, right? To reoxygenate the brain, to help fix that.
Increased cellular activity, inducing that metabolic activity, which
Right.
even Wim references that in what he's doing here.
Over
Obviously,
and
there's
over.
Very strong parallels between
Right.
these things.
Now, the question I go is, do you have to have the cold component to it? And right,
That'd be
talk
nice
about,
to figure out that part, right?
talk about buds,
I
man,
can
right?
just get rid of that.
And buds when we're
I'm with you with this
surfboard-
whole thing until we got to the cold water, and then I'm out.
Well, talk about buds, Marcus, and being surf tortured.
When you're going through it, I mean, it's because they're in our heads. It's terrible. You hate it. But then, what is it? A mile down the beach, you got people, 9-year-olds at the Hotel Del, frolicking out water all day long.
All day.
All day. That's how my brother sent me a newspaper clipping of that. I think I told you that. I hung in my locker. He's like, if this kid can take
yeah.
it, so can you.
You mentioned
Yeah. So it's true. It's the brain's ability to overcome that, what you're being told, as opposed to what's really happening. So, I mean, if you lock it in, instructors throw us in the surf after a beatdown because it's like an ice bath, right?
Yep.
That's why that training can last as hard as it is for as long as it is, because we're constantly in the ice bath.
Constantly.
But they don't tell you, they don't tell you that they're putting you in there to heal you up. They tell you in there because they want to torture you. That's the mind trick, right? And guys quit and go away. But
Well, the interesting-
it absolutely does prolong your time there.
Well, and the interesting thing for me too is it also generates what he talks a lot about, which is really for me the key for this is the driver of will, right? What is the igniter of will? What is the thing that's going to make you not quit? Like Wim professes, it's the combination of cold, right? Because cold eradicates every external thought you can have, i.e. what the instructors do to us in surf torture or being in the water. If that cold if you can block that cold out, you can stay focused to finish an evolution.
Oh, well, our guidance was the end game was becoming a SEAL. If people find out that they're going to be able to heal their sickness by sitting in that cold water, it's not going to be cold water anymore. It's going to be a whole new ball game, buddy. It'll be great.
So my question becomes, is the cold water, because I certainly know being in that cold water, I was like, this isn't going to make me quit. One, I know what it's doing to my body and how it's helping me aid in recovery. But two, it's making me want it more as I see the guys go run out. So let me ask you two, Wizard, Marcus, is cold for you in your careers? Was it a driver? Versus being, we've all spent a lot of time in the heat too, whether Iraq or Afghanistan, we spent a lot. Is cold a driver versus heat? And why?
I think either one can be in its extreme. And I think that's where the dichotomy here is. The cold therapy element, which is one of the three main components of his program, there's two, from what I see, there's two parts to this. One, it does have physiological benefits in reduction of inflammation. We know this. And it probably helps in the production of other hormones and endorphins and things like that. But there is absolutely the cold being utilized as simply a tool, a precursor to put your body in a difficult situation and stress it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's not, in that case, it's not the cold itself. The cold has nothing to do with it. It's simply it's a driver to force yourself into a difficult situation.
It's a tool. Because you don't know, in the beginning, you don't know how to do
as
that.
a topic through so many of these conversations, if it's pushing yourself through fear, it's
Pain.
putting yourself through whatever kind of pain, the revolutionary, the transformative power of properties of going through a process like that. So that's how I see the cold air.
What about you, buddy?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tool. I mean, you can sit there and tell him how to breathe, or you can throw him in that cold water, and it'll teach you how to breathe. But you get to the point to where you know how to do it. It's a tool. It's an extra tool, and they use it to build us. He's using it to do something else.
Consciousness.
So there's always something. He kept referencing nature, man. We were talking about this the other day. There's so much out there that we don't know about it, but it's all out there for the collective because we're all connected. So there is something about everything that we can utilize as a benefit. I mean, that's
within nature,
yeah,
and what God's provided.
Rediscovery of these natural tools that we have developed.
It's pretty amazing because
exactly.
In Belize, horseback riding through the trails, and the guy's like, "Hey, don't touch that tree; it's poisonous." But if you do touch it, on the other side of the trail, right across from it, was the antidote tree. Everything is put here for us and how to utilize it.
We
And when you
talked
start
about with
getting into
coffee,
the
the one
coffee, right.
decaffeinated coffee bean over.
Yeah, and then you get into the water, it's a completely different world. I mean, the longest living things on the planet are underwater. We were talking about that because
The sea mollusk or whatever, sea cucumber, right?
Mm-hmm. Pressure.
the amount of pressure exerted is, we don't need to get into that rabbit hole.
Wave off.
Yeah.
So when I listen to this guy, one, his energy's infectious for me. I just love people that are on fire like I am, right? And then two, he really has invested his entire life into this. Like, this is his purpose, his passion is to deliver this mess. One, to prove it, and then two, to deliver it. And what's amazing is he does have these children who've all got behind. And the story goes, Wim was out there just teaching this stuff. And then, that big Vice documentary on him hit, the Iceman, and he explodes. And now all of a sudden he's, there are literally millions of people clamoring for the Wim Hof method. And it was his kid saying, well, hey, hold on.
Dad, you can make some money.
You can make some money off this as well, too. And which you should, man. If the guy's invested his whole life in its value and people value it, why shouldn't he? It doesn't degrade it in my mind whatsoever.
It just lets him spend more time in the
doing
development of it.
Right. Absolutely. So when I hear this guy and I go to his website at wimhofmethod.com and I follow him on Instagram at Wim Hof and I see him out on some glacier with, in the lotus position with a giant iceberg up his butt, that to me is like, it's really, and by the way, if everybody doesn't know, the Wizard is now on Instagram. Just so everybody knows that.
Oh, God.
What is it? It's Wizard? What is it? Say it.
It's the
The
_wizard _TNQ.
The _wizard _TNQ. TNQP or TNQ?
Yeah, so visit. It's a new excuse to waste your time.
Why you gotta say that, dude? People love Instagram, dude. Stop. If people are finding higher power and calling it Instagram, you gotta knock
Well,
it.
let's get back to Wim
right, so
freezing his
Wim-
ass off with an iceberg up his butt.
All right,
What did you say?
When you see it and you feel it and you connect, and Wim is a connector, right? Wim connects us to a deeper search. And I think that's why we're doing what we're doing. We're helping people, our listeners.
Reconnects.
Or reconnect. Yeah, good point. And that's what our mission is here too, is to help our listeners that are in their battle, that are in their struggle, that are in their never quit moment, but just don't realize, for them to connect or to reconnect with the innate capability that everybody's born with, to persevere, to endure, to have the grit, to find this health and happiness that Wim Hof, this love, this greater connection to heaven as he describes. That's why we're doing it. If this is your first time listening, man, thank you so much for coming. We feel so blessed and so it's so wonderful to have you as a part of our community, as part of Team Never Quit. If you're coming back for more and you're reconnecting in a deeper, more intimate level with Wim, man, welcome back. Thank you. Because it's you. It's you. It's the person who believes, who has faith in the content that the three of us are delivering to you. It's you that are making our mission come true, that are making what we have as a purpose to our lives. You're making that happen. And the fact that you're sharing that with the person you care deeply for, a person that you love, that you know is struggling, you're saying, hey, here is an avenue to find some answers. Here is an avenue. Go to your iTunes podcasting app, search Team Never Quit Podcast, subscribe so you can listen to Wim Hof over and over again. So you can listen to Lara Logan. So you can listen to David Goggins. Goggins. So you can listen to these wonderful people who are on the journey themselves.
Sir Robert Young Pelton.
Sir Robert Young, the world's most dangerous places. So you can find these people, listen to them at your pleasure, at your whim, and connect with them. So we appreciate that. If you want to know more, visit the website, tnqpodcast.com. You can follow us, all of us, on social media now, mostly on Instagram, including the Wizard, which everybody's going to be fired up about. Or you can follow us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher. We're on all of them there. Man, if you feel compelled, what we really love, what we really appreciate from you, is for you to write in and share your greatest never quit story for us. I mean, it's really a privilege for us. We're developing this huge catalog. We're posting them. We're getting them up on the website so there's a place you can go to find this information, to be able to read these stories, connect with them, so you can then again develop your tools to fight, to get in the combat of life, to defeat the negative insurgency that's beating you down. So please share your story or someone you love's story with us. And if it's good, we're going to read it on the air. If it's great, Marcus,
Coming on.
you're going to come on. So, man, what an amazing show. I've been waiting for a long time on that one, Wizard.
Long time.
I mean, he and I have been going back and
Long
forth
time.
on Facebook. We've been going back and forth
For
with
a
his
year at
people.
least, right?
A year
Yeah.
I've been tracking him down, man. Man, I got to take a breath now.
That was awesome.
I just want to thank God for connecting me closer to you through your son Christ. I want to thank my two girls. I want to thank my mother and my father. I want to thank my brother James. I want to thank all my family, all my close friends, all those in the brotherhood who were with me arm in arm in that freezing cold. Man, on our pathway, on our journey together, and all those brothers that are standing next to me side by side now in this fight, and what we're trying to do to help people and discover the never quit mindset, most particularly you two. Thank you, gentlemen. I couldn't do this without you. I want to thank Wim, man. Burn on, brother. Burn on.
Oh, yeah, right.
Oh, breathe, motherfucker. Breathe. That's what he says in his thing out there. I love it. All right. I want to thank the listeners. Thank you all so much for bringing clarity and truth, and for coming back and supporting us on this mission, supporting me and my quest and my purpose to make the world a little bit better. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. I enjoyed that, man. It's to get a civilian perspective on cold water. But thanks for coming on here, sir. I think you're onto something. You keep following your dream.
Amen.
And to everybody who keeps bringing us back, it's a hell of a thing. We talk about it all the time. It's an amazing experience, you guys, and journey you're letting us go on. So thank you for that, and to the wife, and thanks for having the boys in the house all the time. A lot of fun.
It is.
So I'm in one of those moods where I go all day, everything's popping into my head, and for all the blessings I have. So thank you again to everybody for allowing me to have this life. I'm out.
Out.
Never quit.